game of football, especially when it comes to transfers. By the way, transfers are the most exciting part of this footballing game. I know football is very, very, very exciting, but for the game, you are like, it's done. Let's look out for another one. You get? But for transfer, if you miss out on a player that you feel like you want, it's very hard to be like, all right, let's wait in for another player. You know, for example, we've seen very many teams really missing out on the players that they've gone ahead to obviously want. And till now, they're like, we wish we signed so-and-so. We wish we signed so-and-so. But for these games of football, a lot of things can be changed. You can start the season in the first 10 games when you are 10th and you win the league. That is it. You can win the league. You get? So, this is why this is the most interesting and important part of a team or a season, because the season of 2026, 2027 is already underway. So, smash the like button, comment, and share. If you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Continue to subscribe because we want to hit 30,000 subscribers, and after subscribing, hit the notification bell. I'm having Patrick Ekering telling me that thank you, brother, for the update. I always be your fan. You are always my favorite sportsman. All right, thank you very much. Now, we are talking Bruno Guimaraes, 1. 2, we are talking Mudryk. You all know to it that he was, like his ban was lifted and he can now play the game of football. And we are yet to know what is happening about him. Then we do have a man known as Martínez, who was really planning to go ahead and obviously leave Aston Villa again in a second consecutive summer. Things have not gone ahead to go as planned on his side. Not so? So, we are obviously going to be breaking this down to the fullest. And I tell you what, we are this channel. Now, Bruno Guimaraes to the club of Arsenal is one of those deals that many of you really are focusing on. And you feel like Arsenal should obviously get this deal done and get it out of the way, right? So, by so doing, a lot of things have gone ahead to be said about this guy known as Bruno Guimaraes to the club of Arsenal. And earlier today, I've gone ahead obviously come up with beautiful stories about this transfer, and you've heard it well that the club of Arsenal is working hard for this deal to happen. And what is really holding everything back is the club of Arsenal being in a position of agreeing everything with Newcastle, but the problem is Newcastle looking out for the replacement to see to it that they really get this guy out of the way. You understand, that is Bruno Guimaraes, and obviously find themselves in a position of really getting in a player that is hugely wanted at a club known as Arsenal. Arsenal fans are really in high gear. That is it. They are really in high gear and they are really expectant. 2 deals that I've gone ahead to obviously put them on tension. The first one is all about a man called Vinicius Jr. For that, by the end of this week, because today is a Monday where I am, we'll be knowing exactly what it's all about. You understand? So that is what that deal is all about. So very soon we'll know about Bruno Guimaraes, and I really have like 4 or 5 stories for Guimaraes to bring us. Sorry, for Vinicius Jr. For Bruno Guimaraes, as I've told you, the deal is on its course of really getting finalized. So, as we said, by the end of this week, a Here We Go will be anticipated, and till now, no Here We Go yet, but they're closing to Here We Go, as these other people have gone ahead, obviously come up and really put out a very huge go in there for you. So let's obviously get down into this story, right? I'm seeing many of you coming in through Akiki Robert. I'm having Mokisa Daniel. Jonathan is in here. Seguia already in here for you. So let's obviously start off with Jacobs Ben. And this is what Jacobs Ben has gone ahead to tell us. Jacobs-Ben has told us that Arsenal and Newcastle in the process of finalizing a move for Bruno Guimaraes. As revealed on TalkSport, discussions have been advanced for some time. Newcastle waiting for a formal bid, which is expected once a full verbal agreement is in place. Could be a matter of hours, days, but Bruno Guimaraes will fly to La Manga if required. Now, this story is coming in through from the man himself, known as what's his name? Jacobs-Ben. Jacobs-Ben is a tier 1 journalist and is telling us that the side of Arsenal, right, and Newcastle are in a process of finalizing the deal of Bruno Guimaraes to the club of Arsenal. That is really something good. It's something that all of you will obviously get excited about as you the fans for the club of Arsenal in there. Because what other further news do you want to get? I tell you, a lot of optimism is into this deal. That is it. A lot of optimism is into this deal. You've heard from all corners, everyone saying the deal is going to happen. And this guy, Jacobs-Ben, is telling us that Arsenal and Newcastle in the process of finalizing him for Bruno Guimaraes. You know, what an update. That these two teams are now in the process of finalizing the deal of Bruno Guimaraes. You understand? Now, he's talking about a formal, like an official bid, right? Let me bring you up to speed. How are deals like this done? So, deals like this are done as follows. First and foremost, the side of Arsenal will obviously have verbal agreements, you understand? And they'll come to a total agreement, you understand? But Arsenal and Newcastle don't want to obviously come out and really put out right that the deal is done, because Newcastle requested Arsenal to first get in a replacement of Bruno Guimaraes. Due to the fact that Newcastle is going to be getting in 90 million euros for this guy, they're like, we shouldn't come up and obviously announce this before we obviously get the replacement here. And I think Arsenal have gone ahead to respect what Newcastle are really calling in for. You understand? And you see that Andre Batha has gone ahead to obviously work out well with Newcastle on this, because if you remember how they disturbed Liverpool to sign a player known as Alexander Isak, oh my God, you know, do you know what it means when you know to it that you're going to be getting in 120 million pounds for Alexander Isak, and you're like playing a hard game? They played a hard game, but I'm liking how Hopkins, you know, and the sporting director of Newcastle, on how they're really doing this business with Arsenal. And I think harmony has been reached, and they want to respect one another. That is it. They want to respect one another, to see to it that this deal really goes on the right way. And I do believe that it will end when both sides are smiling from one ear to the other. That is it. The experience of Andre Batha is really very important. That's why, even if you are to go to the deal of Alvarez, you see to it that Laporte has gone ahead to obviously not have a very good working conditions, all working situations with the working relationships with Atletico Madrid, because of his ego and so on and so forth. But the experience of Andre Batha has been key for this deal to reach this stage. And Bruno Guimaraes is one of those players that you feel he's also enjoying how Arsenal are conducting this transfer, because a lot of respect has been given to the side known as Newcastle. And however much you obviously gonna have the money, you have to do it respectively, because for Liverpool, what went ahead to cause problems to Liverpool was the disrespect they really put out, and that's why they really played a nail game, and they got a player as the summer transfer window came to an end. He never even had a preseason. But when you look at how Arsenal is holding this deal, looks like Bruno Guimaraes might even play some two games for the club of Arsenal, because Arsenal, after playing against Girona yesterday, they have to play against a club called Rio Betis. That is on Wednesday, I think. Then they'll have to play against a side called Como, and then Borussia Dortmund. Those remaining two games, the other two games will be played, the last two games will be played at Emirates in the Emirates Cup, meaning that Arsenal fans, you might really get a chance to unveil your player known as Bruno Guimaraes at the Emirates, when he's obviously going to be playing for your club. You understand? So that is it. And Newcastle is a selling club. I told you, Hopkins, their CEO, came out and said that if a team brings the right money, every player at Newcastle is up for sale. And it has been evident for Anthony Gordon, 80 million euros. He went to Barcelona. They thought that that was a right fee for Anthony Gordon. Going to Sandro Tonali, they called in for 100 million euros, and the 100 million euros saw him go to a side known as Spurs. Now, for Bruno Guimaraes, Arsenal is paying 77 million pounds, or 90 million euros for the club of Arsenal. You understand? So it shows you that they are yielding big in these transfers, and I tell you, they've gone ahead to make profit on every player they've gone ahead to sell this summer transfer window. And remember what they did last summer, selling Alexandra Isak for 125 million pounds. Remember, they bought him for 68 million pounds from Real Sociedad, and they have close to 57 million pounds, as a profit. And they never went ahead to spend big onto that guy, because they brought in Wissa. And you know how much they brought in Wissa for? Let's see. Wissa's transfer fee. Wissa transfer fee to Newcastle. How much was paid? They paid 55 million pounds. You understand? Meaning that on the amount of money they bought Alexandra Isak, they went ahead to even save 13 million pounds, meaning that they had the other profit of how much? Of 57. Then you add the 13, 70 million pounds with them. And this time round, they are bringing in more players, and they are bringing in players on a cheap. When you look at the price of Bamba, 50 million euros, Astuya, another one, on a cheap, and the replacement of Bruno Guimaraes, the one from Botafogo, and the one from FC Porto, if at all they get one, I don't see them spending more than 50 million euros. So they are really doing some smart business for themselves, and I think they are really smiling all the way to the bank. But it shows you that this team, known as Newcastle, is not a team looking to win trophies. And that's why Bruno Guimaraes wants to come in through and obviously play for the club of Arsenal. You understand? But the most important bit of this story that that this guy has gone ahead to say to me was, could be a matter of hours, all days. meaning that it's just a matter of hours or days, you know, meaning that this deal is happening in days or hours. And we are at the time where anytime from now, a "here we go" might be put out by Fabrizio Romano. That's why, as I'm obviously doing this story, I'm going out, right, to look through, to look at the news being put out in there for you. So, I tell you, this deal is happening, unless otherwise. I don't see Arsenal pulling out, because when you look at the midfielders left on the market that play in the central midfield that do the Bruno Guimaraes role, they are really very, very, very few. That's why I do believe Arsenal won't look back on this deal. Arsenal are going all in, and they've gone ahead to sacrifice their time. The player wants to come, and it is happening. And as Fabrizio told you in the video I really applauded lastly on this channel, that Arsenal is very confident that this deal will obviously go through. So Bruno Guimaraes to the club of Arsenal is one of those that is nearing completion and is obviously going to be coming in through. And when you talk about La Manga, the camp in Spain, right now we haven't obviously heard from anyone telling us that Bruno Guimaraes has reported in, La Manga. They are saying he's set to arrive, but we haven't obviously gotten what we call a confirmation that Bruno Guimaraes has gone ahead to really touch down in Spain. You understand? And the Sun is telling us that. I'm trying to obviously look out for something. Whether he has gone ahead to obviously arrive. A moment, a little bit. So, as it stands, there is no confirmation that Bruno Guimaraes has touched down what we call has touched down Spain. And South America to Spain, flight duration, let's see, because in South America is in Brazil, 10 to 13 hours. So we are waiting to see, and we are on here waiting to see whether he has gone ahead to obviously arrive. But when he arrives, I'll be one of the first people to obviously do that story that he has gone ahead to join the camp of Newcastle. But as it stands, he hasn't gone ahead to join the camp in Spain. So that means he's optimistic that he's supposed to be going to London. You understand? So Seguia says, Assalamu alaikum. News about Guimaraes. I've gone ahead to break it here. Jonathan Nokoti. Now I think I can start following again. Thanks, buddy. John Okot from Nakasongola. All right. Then Mochikisa Daniel. Thank you, brother, for the update. I'm watching from Abu Dhabi. All right. OMG says, Israel. All right. Thank you. Akiki Robert, tell me about Igor from Blackburn, the center forward. I don't think that Arsenal is a team that will go in for a striker like Thiago. And if I'm Arsenal, if I'm to go in for strikers in the Premier League, I think Oli Watkins is one of those that I can obviously go in for, right? Because I do believe that he has gone ahead to put out some good numbers that can obviously motivate a team to obviously go all out for him. Who else? Who else in the Premier League? Which other forward? Igor Thiago for me. I was with my friends on a TikTok live, I think on Saturday morning, and I told them that Igor Thiago scores goals. He positions himself very well, but I want another season of 20 goals. That is it. If he ever gets me 20 goals or 18 or 15 this season of 2026, 2027 in the Premier League, then I'll be like, he has passed the test. Because these one-season wonders are always there. But if he ever does it in this coming season, he would have gone ahead to put out a very huge statement that no one will obviously come out and really undermine, I tell you. But he needs to come up and really put in a very huge shift to see to it that we obviously try to really give him his flowers for not being a one-season wonder. Because he scored, was it 21 goals in the Premier League? Had like 8 penalties. But tell me a striker in the Premier League that doesn't take penalties of his team. Erling Haaland does for Man City. I think it's only Benjamin Sesko who doesn't. When you look at Guimaraes, he was given all what he needs to take those penalties. You remember? At Chelsea, Carl Palmer does. At Chelsea, not João Pedro. At Liverpool, it has been Mohamed Salah. And I think this time round, Alexander Isak will be handed over the opportunity to take those penalties. So most of the strikers, if they score 20 goals, you might find out that out of the 20 goals, 5 or 6 are really penalties. That's why you have to give a striker credit for not really scoring, because they are strikers who will come out and really give you those goals when they haven't gone ahead to obviously score any penalty. You understand? So that is it for the side of Igor Thiago. But when Arsenal brings in Vinicius Jr., I think their plan might change. That is it. Because when you look at Arsenal, if you get in Vinicius Jr., that means you've gone ahead to improve on your creativity, not so? And you've gone ahead to increase on your goal sources. And if I have Vinicius Jr., Bruno Guimaraes, why would I think of another forward that is obviously going to be a goal-scoring machine? I think I can trust Kai Havertz to be that second striker for the club of Arsenal. If at all you feel like Guimaraes needs a rest, even Mikel Merino has shown us that he can obviously come out and build the line in there for you. And the future of Gabriel Jesus is also still in question. So, if Vini comes in through, you might even keep a Gabriel Jesus in there for you, to see to it that he runs his contract down at the club of Arsenal. Or you sell him and bring in someone else. I don't really find it very viable, because Kai Havertz is there, can lead the line and score those goals. Gyökeres is not an injury-prone player, getting in his second season in the club of Arsenal. I tell you what, no need for Igor Thiago. Have you heard the amount of money that Bournemouth is talking about to obviously have Igor Thiago leave Brentford? I'm sorry, it's not Bournemouth, it's Brentford. They are calling in for £85 million. Now, could you pay £85 million for a striker that has gone ahead to score 20 goals for the first time? He has done it once. He needs to do it at least for this coming season, and then I'll do the needful. Now, when you look at Vini, in his previous 5 seasons, he has been getting a GA, that is goals and assists, 30 plus. So, if Vini can bring that form at Arsenal, like he gets you 20 goals and 15 assists in a season, then Bruno Guimaraes, he can average 10 goals and 6 assists a season, meaning that you are adding close to 50 goals onto your side. And you do have the 20 from Gyökeres. You'll get that 10, 15 from Bukayo Saka. Eze will get you the 10 goals, meaning that you can find yourself as a club of Arsenal having a goal basket of 150. And out of the 150 goals, if you get like 120, maybe you can find yourself winning the Premier League and the Champions League. Because when you look at Arsenal, right, last season, in the Premier League, Arsenal went ahead to score just 71 goals. Arsenal scored 71 goals, right? Now, if you add 29 and you take that tally to 100, that means you even take these points to 100. And when you take those points to 100, sure deal, the Premier League trophy is all yours. There is no doubt. So, no need to look out for people like Igor Thiago. I don't find it necessary for Arsenal to do that. I don't find it even wise, right? Inziku Cosmas, can you see Zolis better than Rodgers as per now? Not really. He needs to put out better evidence in the competitive league, in the Premier League and the Champions League. That is it. Because we're talking about Morgan Rodgers. He has put out unbelievable numbers when he's playing for Aston Villa in the Premier League, right? So I want Zolis to come in through and show us what exactly he's made of. Good enough, they are starting with Coventry City in the Premier League. And he might find himself in the starting 11 depending on how he's going to be looking into these remaining 3 games. Good enough, in his first game of Arsenal, he went ahead to score a very beautiful goal. That is Zolis. So you need to see Zolis putting out the best, in his opening game. If he ever gets like 20 goals and assists in the Premier League in his first season with Arsenal, then I'll be like, let me rethink about my answer to Inziku Cosmas' question on whether Zolis is better than Rodgers per now. Per now, Rodgers is still better. Patrick Ekring, brother, I'm confused. I see jersey number 39 on social media and yet the deal is not yet confirmed. How has that come? The shirt number already given. Not yet given. But I can take you through the available shirt numbers for the club of Arsenal, right? Available shirt numbers. Available shirt numbers for Bruno Guimaraes at Arsenal. By the way, this would have gone to be a different, a full story. But his shirt number, he has gone ahead to put out on Newcastle for a very long period of time, is 39. And if at all it's available, then obviously they'll give it to him. They'll give it to him because that's what he wants. So, shirt number 39, let's see at Arsenal. Who puts on shirt numbers? 39 shirt at Arsenal. So, right now, we need to know who puts it on. Hector Bellerin once put it on. So, we wait and see who is obviously going to be putting on this shirt number, but I think it will go to Bruno Guimaraes. That's it. So, don't get confused. They can obviously show you that he's putting on shirt number 39, but no one knows the exact shirt number he will put on. But shirt number 39 is what he prefers to put on. That is it. Peter Bagonza, hey, Mr. Aradi, tell me about Vinicius Jr. to Arsenal. Will it come to pass? Vinicius Jr. flying from Brazil today. Monday, he's going to be at Real Madrid. He's expected to join the Real Madrid training camp. That is it. So, tomorrow, that's when we are obviously going to be getting the gist of the matter of this guy known as Vinicius Jr. That is it. So please, turn on your notification bells if at all you haven't, because tomorrow we're obviously going to be having a marathon. Rokani, how much does Madrid value Vinicius Jr.? Between 150 million euros to 175. You understand? Roberto says, Rokani, I would like to know the transfer for Vini to Arsenal. I've just told you Vini is going to be touching Spain today. And then we will see what will follow thereafter. Is it okay? Then Robert says the same thing. Find out about Alvarez to Arsenal. Do we still stand a chance to sign Alvarez? Now, the big question is, can Arsenal bring in Vinicius Jr. and Alvarez in the same summer transfer window? Because those two deals can cost Arsenal 300 million euros. So that is the big question. That is the big question. Because if you get in Vini and you want to bring in Julian Alvarez, how can that happen financially? Can they work that out? But the beauty of it is that it's a once-in-life opportunity to sign those two players and put them together. That is it. It's a once-in-lifetime opportunity to have those players and obviously have them with you. So I want to tell you that the side of Vinicius Jr. is really very possible. But Julian Alvarez, doubtful, because looks like Arsenal have shifted all their energy from Julian Alvarez and they're like, Vini is a once-in-lifetime opportunity. Alvarez, we can get another striker. But Vinicius Jr., where are you going to get a chance for a player who is valued for like 300 million euros and you're getting him for half price and is just 26 years of age? Big question. And the answer is, it's time now. It's now or never to get in Vini. I think that's why Arsenal might obviously say, for Julian Alvarez, let's pause in a little bit, right? And then we obviously head to the mega deal of a guy called Vinicius Jr. Endo Masereka, I like the way you express and analyze. Thank you very much for watching in through, and thank you for also being part. But smash the like button to 100 times. We are having close to 100 people watching in through and only 26 likes. Please smash the like button. Why aren't you smashing the like button? What's your problem, guys? You can even buy super chats and support this channel in there for you. Now, from Arsenal, let's get to one of the players that you guys wanted to sign and slipped through your hands because you dilly-dallied around and the club known as Chelsea came in through and obviously took him over. You understand? Mykhailo Mudryk. Suspension lifted. And Xabi Alonso came up. Should we start with Xabi Alonso? Let's obviously go ahead and see what the player put out. In Mykhailo Mudryk's statement, I think most of you would want to hear what Mykhailo Mudryk had to say after this. He said, after a long battle, the 4-year ban that was imposed on me has been rescinded, and I'm free to resume my career with immediate effect. I'm grateful that this process has reached conclusion, right? That I have been cleared to return to football and that I can now look ahead to my future. This has been the most difficult period of my career. That is the man himself, And then he added and said, as I have always maintained from the outset of this case, I have never knowingly or intentionally taken any banned substance. My commitment to competing fairly and representing my club and country with professionalism and integrity has always been important to me. I would like to thank my family and friends for their support and belief throughout this period. I also want to express my deep gratitude to everyone at Chelsea FC, my teammates, and the Chelsea supporters who have been with me throughout. I would also like to thank my legal team and others who assisted for their tireless work on my case. My focus now is on returning to football, working hard every day, and making positive contribution on the pitch. Thank you everyone who continue to believe in me. I look forward to the next chapter of my career. That is Mykhailo Mudryk for you. A player that Arsenal wanted to sign, made a bid of 100 million euros, but Chelsea came in through with the same offer, but with better incentives in there for you, and they ended up losing the player. Now, the manager of Chelsea, who goes by names of Xabi Alonso, came out and said, we are happy for Mykhailo Mudryk and we want him to be part of the squad. Probably we are not able to understand what we've been through in these moments. He has our total support. That is Xabi Alonso for you on Mykhailo Mudryk. Then Roberto Di Zerbi has come out and said, he's my son. Misha is a cool guy, a top player. Hopefully he can show what he suffered the last 2 seasons in this coming season. Maybe not against Tottenham Hotspur, but he's a lovely guy. That is it. So that is Mykhailo Mudryk for you. And by the way, when he came up and obviously said all this, I've gone ahead to see stories linking Mykhailo Mudryk to a side on as Spurs and obviously be loaned by the side of Chelsea in there for you. Because for Chelsea, they've gone ahead to bring in Morgan Rogers, and you ask yourself, where is Mykhailo Mudryk going to be playing? Because in the system of Xabi Alonso, he's going to be using 2 number 10s. And can Mykhailo Mudryk play as a number 10? And has he ever played as a number 10 in his history? You know? You just have to ask yourself, can he play as a number 10? I'm talking about Mykhailo Mudryk. Can he play as a number 10? Because in that system, he needs to understand that he needs to be played as a number 10. He plays as a left forward and right forward in most of the games. So I don't know how he's going to be used by the man known as Xabi Alonso. That is my big question for the manager. But Di Zerbi loves this boy, and he has been looking out for other forwards. Maybe he'll be like, Alonso, are you going to be using this boy? If you're not going to be using this boy, then allow me take him on loan to my team known as Tottenham Hotspur and try to obviously get him back. Because at Shakhtar Donetsk, that's where I think they met up. And you remember when Arsenal was so much into signing him, he really took a video of Di Zerbi and he took a video of Di Zerbi and Alonso on the touchline, and it was like 2 of the best managers in the world. You understand? So his heart, he's sold to playing for the club known as Arsenal. But I tell you, Mykhailo Mudryk is still a young guy. Mykhailo Mudryk is still a young guy, and I think he can really get his dreams back. 25 years of age, right? He still has 5 years to show the world whether he's worth 100 million euros or not. You know? Now, Fabrizio has told us about this guy, that Mykhailo Mudryk flying today to Hong Kong to join Chelsea squad and make himself available for Xabi Alonso with immediate effect. So, he has gone ahead, obviously, arrive in China to play for this mighty club known as Chelsea. So, we'll be waiting to see whether he obviously gets on well with Alonso. Chelsea, when you look at Chelsea, this midweek, they do have a game to play as a club of Chelsea, and they're playing against Juventus. I think this game comes so early for him because if he has been out for almost a year plus, I don't think that he has reached that level of fitness to really feature in this game. He will train on Monday, Tuesday with a Chelsea squad, and then they will obviously have to look at him and really understand exactly what he's all about. That is Mykhailo Mudryk for you. Man at Chelsea, man making things happen, man looking good. And I tell you, he has to show us what we missed. And we just can't wait to see whether Alonso can be that manager to get the best out of him, because Graham Potter failed. Pochettino failed. Enzo Maresca So all these managers have gone ahead to fail, and we are waiting to see that number one manager who will come up and obviously get out the best out of him, and that is it. Peter Bagonza says 150 to 170 mil isn't Madrid overpriced Vini Jr. depending on the contract. Let me tell you, he's left with just 1 year on his contract. Now, remember the deal of Mbappe. Mbappe was a free agent and Madrid had to call for 150 million euros. Vini is not these other players that you see. He's not a usual player. He is a different caliber of player altogether. So when he's coming in through at Arsenal, you have to do a lot to bring him on. So 150 million euros, 170 million euros, you understand? So what you can do as Arsenal is to obviously press Madrid into your acceptance corner, because you are like, the lad is going to be left with just 1 year on his contract. You understand? And you can as well tell Vini the pre-contract is there. January, put pen to paper and leave Real Madrid. You understand? So it will depend on the negotiation skills for the side of Arsenal. If they're really good at negotiating, then all will go on as planned for the club of Arsenal and they won't be overpriced. But I do believe 100 million euros plus is what Arsenal has to start on to obviously getting a Vinicius Jr. Now, Sendagide says, I really like your commentary, bro. You are ever on point in regards to your transfer updates. Thanks, bro. You are really great. Thank you. It's you guys who make me who I am, because if you don't listen in, subscribe, and obviously coming through when I'm really live, it won't make any sense. But it continues to make perfect sense every time we come up here and really see you guys flock here in numbers. I just feel blessed for having you, my people. That's why I say let's build this community to 30,000 and see how we'll obviously grow big and better in the coming time. I've gone ahead to come in the night, but you guys have been on live, and obviously you've watched this video, and I know you'll watch it there later. Now, from Carlo Mudryk, let's go to Dibu Martínez, a player that wanted to go and leave Aston Villa to play for Juventus. I don't know why. Fabrizio told us that Juventus have informed Aston Villa they will not be signing Emiliano Dibu Martínez. The decision was made internally several days ago and has now been confirmed to Villa, with Juve deciding overall cost of the deal is simply too high. So, I don't know why Dibu Martínez wants to obviously go to these teams, because last season, Amorim preferred him as his goalkeeper signing, and then the people at United were like, we're bringing in Seny Lamens, you know. I know he's a fantastic goalkeeper, but I think clubs are not so much in for him. I think let him stay at Villa and build his legacy. Signing for Villa in 2020, right? So, till now, he's still at the club. Sorry about it. He's still at the club. So, if at all he's still at the club, right? Why is he not really staying at Villa? Villa, you can win trophies with Villa and get in the history of Aston Villa. By the way, the course of Aston Villa, to me, is really very enticing. You know, they... So, Villa is that side that when you look at their trajectory, like they are ever trying to be in the top 5, top 6. They are ever in Europe. Now they are back in the Champions League. You get? So, if you are Dibu Martínez, all you have to do is to keep at Villa. And what do you think this man thinks about Dibu Martínez? 2 consecutive seasons, he wants to leave, you know. Should they dispose him off? He's a very good goalkeeper, I might say. And you can all agree with me that he's one of the best goalkeepers in the world. If you watch the World Cup final, the guy had to make, was it 8? 8 saves on target. Were they 8 or 10? 13? I think we were 13. You get? And he had to obviously make those saves. So he's a very good goalkeeper. And I just think it's high time you got to know that he has to be at Villa. Let him build his history at Villa and see to it that they win something at Villa. That is it. And I do believe that, however much they are a selling club, but they replace very well. When you look at, what's his name? Garnacho coming in through, I do believe that Garnacho, as a left forward, is better than Morgan Rogers. That is, though I do believe that Morgan Rogers is a better central attack midfielder than Garnacho, meaning that if they are getting in Garnacho as a left forward, they are getting in someone better. You understand? And you're going to see Garnacho thrive at Villa. That is it. So, I think we've gone ahead to obviously talk about Dibu Martínez. I don't know what your thoughts are about Dibu Martínez, but I'm having wild thoughts about him. That is it. He's a very good goalkeeper. And I'm like, why is he always trying to obviously make these moves? I think I'm not really understanding why he keeps doing this. Robert says, Rokani, sometimes your videos come when are recorded, yet we want to watch you live. What brings that, guys? On a daily, you'll be catching me live. You get? But recordings are also done. Now we should start doing lives also to really talk huge about you guys. But I want to let you know that it has been nice having you onto this channel. It's getting late. I don't know whether you guys still even have the courage of obviously being here. You see the numbers getting down. And what does that mean? It really means that you guys are really maybe going to sleep and going to bed. So we are going to be signing out for now. And we'll be trying to see if at all there is a breaking story, we'll obviously come up here and obviously see what we'll do about it. But it has been nice having you in here onto a beautiful channel. And we've talked about Bruno Guimaraes to Arsenal transfer process, in the final stages. What do you make about it? Because the final stage is in there. And I don't know what you make about it. We've talked about Mudryk joining Chelsea in Hong Kong, China to start training. We don't know whether the game of Juventus comes so early for him to play. Lastly, Dibu Martínez at Aston Villa, again for a second summer transfer window consecutively. He has been snubbed by Juventus and Man United for other goalkeepers. What do you make about those three stories that we've gone ahead to talk about? I know it's getting late. I might put out one recording, but I think I've gone ahead to come live and obviously have a discussion with you. And I'm going to be doing my level best, right? To see to it that I really bring you more and more and more news and stories on this channel. So continue to subscribe. You know the magic number that you want to hit in there for you. If you feel like you want to see me talk about Man United, United Matters channel is the place to be. So be nowhere, be there, and that is where you obviously get me. So it has been nice talking to you. TikTok, you can search for Rokani Media Football. Short clips are always there on TikTok. Facebook, search for Rokani Media Football. That is it. X, Rokani Media Football. So we are always there putting out very many stories because let me be very open. On a daily, we can post like maybe 100 stories. You get on our X. You get? So I cannot do all those stories, I tell you. You understand? So all I can do is to obviously come in here and really touch some few stories. But if you go onto our X account, there are mob stories that we haven't even gone ahead to tamper. That is it, because there are a lot. How can we come up and obviously do all these stories? Because there are stories about Arteta. There is a story about this guy. Osimeni, there is a story about Kevin De Bruyne, Arteta talking about Vinicius Jr. I think that will come in through early morning. Mourinho, about Vini. There is a story about Juni Calafat, Madrid scouting, who scouted Vini to bring him to Real Madrid. A lot, I tell you, a lot of stories. Arayola talking about the return of players that play the World Cup at Liverpool. There is Ferran Torres, there is Vinicius Jr., Pedro Neto, many stories. Onahi to Barcelona, big story there. So guys, I tell you what, I just can't wait to see you guys come out and obviously continue to obviously follow other platforms where we post these stories.